It is SCP Thursdays with Kavzar the Blonde. What's going on, brother? Ready
What
for
up, what up,
this
what up?
stream? Yay! I know you got a good, good lineup tonight, so I'm ready for that. Shit. I mean, got big back. Welcome into the chat. We're about to do some SP Thursdays. Kavzar's got the best lineup for us, and it's a watch party. So ready for some? I don't know. What do we got coming up?
Let's see, we got five good ones lined up for you. The first one this evening is going to be the first SCP that I came across. SCP 1471, one of my personal favorites. It is Mallow. That is a software app for your smartphone, and spookiness entails. Let's see, the next one is a lot of them are classics from the original range of SCPs. Not necessarily the more modern stuff. The second one is the Headlights SCP-745. Uh, I don't want to spoil that one because that one's actually a pretty cool reveal. Third video is going to be probably one of the most legendary SCPs, 049, the Plague Doctor. A lot of fan favorites out there cite the Plague Doctor as their favorite.
Plague Doctor.
Uh,
Sounds
yeah,
dope.
another classic monster in a box. The fourth video is going to be probably one of the most recent ones, 3899, The Night Hauler. And that one's also a pretty cool reveal. I will say the Headlights and the Night Hauler, they both have stuff to do with the road. So they're both like road-based SCPs. The fifth video is going to be SCP-3008, a perfectly normal, regular old IKEA. This is also a quintessential fan favorite. Like every kid nowadays knows about the IKEA SCP.
Nice.
And then the last one is a personal favorite of mine, and it's actually going to be included in my short story. 2935. It is called Oh Death, and I also don't want to give away spoilers on that one because it's pretty good. So,
I'm excited. Well, shoot. Let's get started. Welcome everybody into the chat. We're gonna, um, yeah, start the watch party. I'll be chatting in the chat virtually, so we don't, ruin the show, so to speak. Let's get it.
It's going to be a dreary one today, and there's a high chance of rain, so make sure you grab your umbrellas on your way out the door. We're looking at scattered thunderstorms across Travis County, and thank God! It'll be a welcome break from the heat. If you're one of the lucky folks who are working from home, it's going to be a perfect day for a cup of hot cocoa while you work in a bathrobe.
Not spooky at all.
Thanks for agreeing to meet with me on such short notice. All these memories started coming back to me. Now it's hard for me to focus on work.
Of course, Will. I expected this to involve the Mallow software after what you said on the phone, but you said your problems are more related to your sister, correct? Would you like to start by elaborating on that?
Well, she was the one who introduced it to me. It was a dare, I think. I mean, it's been so many years. The details are kind of fuzzy to me now.
That's all right. What parts do you remember?
You might need a little background on our relationship first. She was my caregiver after our parents died in a car wreck. I depended on her for nearly everything, and I trusted her completely. She was only 5 years older than me, but I felt like she knew how to navigate the world much better than I did. She was lively and colorful, and brought enough light into my life to keep things from being too depressing after our parents passed. I think she spent a lot of time trying to find ways to keep me happy and entertained. That's how the whole Mallow thing started. I was 16. You know how teenagers are. I was moping around the house and she tried to cheer me up.
Hey, Will, check this out. I heard about this app at work today. It sends you pictures with this cute creature photoshopped in the backgrounds.
Is this in that park that you go to all the time?
Yeah, I think it uses your GPS or something so it knows what places you go to often. So far, I've gotten ones at the park, work, and that cute coffee shop by the library. Isn't she adorable?
She?
Yeah, I named her Cassandra.
Okay, well, Cassandra needs a shave.
Hey, be nice. I'm trying to share something that I'm enjoying with you. You want me to put it on your phone?
Why? It's just some furry thing that they're trying to hoax you into thinking is following you.
'Cause it's cute. Come on, you know if you showed this to your friends, they'd think it's cool too.
I guess. But you know my phone doesn't exactly have an app store like yours. How do you know it's safe?
I bet we could find it. This app seems to be getting popular. And I'm sure it's fine. My app store checks every app to make sure it's safe before peddling it. Ooh, let's make a bet out of it. If you think it's cool after having it for a few days, then you have to come shopping with me this weekend. And if you don't, then I'll take you to that one movie you've been talking about. The one with the fossils or dinosaurs or whatever.
Well, this sounds kind of lame, but sure, you got a deal.
I see. So you had apprehensions about it, but did it so you could see a movie?
Hey, if it wasn't for him, taking that bet would have been a good call. Or her, if you want to take Sarah's version of him. He always looked more like a male to me, but we never went to see the movie.
Because you started to realize what Mallow really was?
No, Sarah did. She had downloaded about 12 hours before I did, so she went down the rabbit hole much sooner than me, and she had it much worse.
How so?
A couple days later, she pulled me out of school in the middle of the day. My education was really important to her, so I knew it had to be something serious. When I got to the front office, she just grabbed my arm, pulled me out to the parking lot, and...
Okay, this isn't funny anymore. Have you seen Cassandra anywhere other than in the pictures, Will?
No. What are you talking about? You look pale. Are you okay?
She's actually following me, Will. Yesterday, I got pictures of her, but I was in the photo too. I got a few more of them throughout the day, and I know you're going to say I'm paranoid or crazy, but just listen. I tried to delete the app, but I can't find it on my phone. It's just gone. Whoever made this used it to track us, Will. And they're here now. They're watching us. I'm positive she's near, Will.
What? How do you know?
I can see her around every corner, just out of sight. It started this morning. I woke up and I swear I saw her standing at the foot of my bed, but when I turned to look, she was gone. It's just gotten worse, Will. I don't know what to do. Oh God, don't open that. It's gotta be her. It's gotta be her. It's gotta be her.
We both really panicked after that. We rushed out the car, locked it behind us, and ran home. Then Sarah barricaded us both in the bathroom, thinking it would keep us safe.
That doesn't surprise me. It's a common reaction for people to cloister themselves away when they start seeing Mallow in real life, trying to keep it out. It takes time for them to realize that it isn't bound by earthly physics or logic.
Right. That part took some getting used to. The bathroom was actually a really bad spot for me, because the way I started seeing him was in mirrors and reflective surfaces. At least the ones that are big enough to show him. I've gotten used to it since then. But eventually, I started warming up to his company. I mean, I'm fine with him now.
So that's why you say you're here because of your sister?
Well, yeah. She never got over the panic that she got from seeing Cassandra. It just got worse. She wasn't able to sleep, and she started losing weight. Her life basically turned into a walking nightmare. She wasn't at all the same person that she used to be. She barely even acknowledged my presence in the house. Thinking back on it, I'm actually surprised she was able to tough it out as long as she did before she killed herself.
she killed herself?
Yeah. Did I forget to mention that? She killed herself about 2 weeks after the day she pulled me out of school.
That's, unusual. Not many people have such an extreme reaction to Mallow. The majority of people I've counseled about it are like you, dealing with past trauma related to it, but largely accepting that it's a part of their lives now.
I don't think she ever had a chance to get used to it. It took me weeks to get past it, and losing her made it much more difficult.
It sounds like she didn't have enough time to realize that it doesn't do any harm.
Right. He's never been malicious. In fact, I've come to think of him as a companion of sorts. He tries to talk to me in some strange, non-verbal way. I can't seem to figure out what he's saying, though.
That's also quite common. Do you think if your sister had the chance to get counseling, she would have pulled through?
That's hard to say. She wouldn't even talk to me about it after a while. And I don't think anyone could have gotten through to her.
I'm sorry, that wasn't a very professional question for me to ask. It's kind of a counselor's curse to hear about other people and wish I'd had the chance to help them. Let's refocus the conversation on how it affected you.
It's all right. I'm here to talk about her, too.
How would you say her death affected you? You were still quite young when it happened, correct?
If you'd call 16 young, sure. She left me enough money to get through the rest of high school. I got by.
That's good to hear. But what about how it affected you emotionally?
And I guess that's the part I still haven't really processed. So many years have gone by, and, well, I still blame myself to some degree.
Why?
I opened that text message in the car when she told me not to. If I hadn't, she might not have gone off the deep end.
There were many factors at play in that situation, Will. It's important to remember that the direct cause of her suicide was Mallow, not you.
But I exposed her to it.
No, quite the opposite, actually. She was the one who recommended it to you.
But she didn't know any better.
And that's the point. Nobody does. Otherwise, this wouldn't be much of a problem for so many people.
So, just how many people have you counseled about Mallow anyway?
Well, I can't really discuss other clients with you, but it's a more prevalent issue than you might think. Again, let's refocus the conversation on you, Will. I imagine you were too young to seek counseling regarding your sister's death when it happened, especially being an underage teen living alone. Could you tell me why you decided to come to me about it today? Will? Will, is everything all right?
What? Oh, yeah, sorry. He was just trying to tell me something again.
You can see Mallow in this room right now?
He's reflected in your window. I can never tell what he's trying to say.
What is he doing right now, if you don't mind my asking?
He's, pointing to the ceiling and shaking his head.
I've heard about a lot of Mallow behaviors, but that one's new to me. If neither of us can interpret it, it might be helpful for you to assign your own meaning to it, to get a sense of closure.
Well, I guess if I had to choose something, I'd like to think that he's saying that he's sorry about Sarah, but she's happy somewhere else now. Hey everybody, thanks for watching the video. I want to thank all our loyal Patreon backers who help make our...
I like that. Oh, it's like eerie. You're on edge kind of on the whole time, but just engaging. It's good.
Yeah, it's one of the few SCP 1471 videos that's actually decent. A lot of them, like I think the Volgan does one on Mallow, and it's just basically him reciting the article, so it's super dry. But that one, you know, it has acting and so forth in it, so it kind of spiced it up a little bit. All right, let's see. Let me get the next one spinning up. The headlights. This is going to be a Dr. Bob video, yet another animated one.
It's late at night, and you're driving down a desolate stretch of highway somewhere in New Mexico. There's nothing out here except for you, your car, and the road. What you don't know is that you're about to encounter something. Something terrifying. There's no moon, and the sky is pitch black. Your own car is barely lighting up the dark road ahead of you. Just then, you spot something in your rearview mirror. It's a pair of headlights. There's nothing too strange about them, except that they are especially bright. Your eyes are so adjusted to the darkness that you have to look away. When you glance in the mirror again, you see that they're closer. Much closer. They must be going awfully fast. You don't know why, but something about the car behind you makes you feel uneasy. There's something off. You speed up a little. Maybe you can keep some distance from them, but the lights keep getting closer. So you speed up a little more. Still, they gain on you, growing bigger and bigger in your rearview mirror. You're getting nervous. They look like they are barreling right towards you. You floor it. The lights are able to keep up easily, though, and now they're right on your tail. No matter how fast you go, they stay right behind you. The lights are so bright and close that they're almost blinding. You're in a full-blown panic. What is going on? Now the lights are swerving back and forth behind you. What do they want? You take a sharp turn without indicating, but they follow you without difficulty. You keep your foot smashed down on the accelerator. Your engine is screaming, but they just get closer and closer. They're right on your bumper. The bright white lights burn your eyes so bad that you swat at the rearview mirror to point it down. You look up just in time to see the deer standing in the middle of the road. You slam on your brakes as hard as you can. Your tires squeal loudly in the night, and you brace yourself to both hit the deer and get rear-ended from behind. You stop inches from the deer as something incredible happens. The two headlights seem to split, passing by you on either side of your car. You and the deer lock eyes for a split second as if you're both thinking, "What was that?" before the deer hops away into the night. You don't know what's happening, but you're not going to wait around to find out. You throw the car in reverse and hit the gas before whipping it around 180 degrees. You can't remember how far the last town was, but there's no chance you're going in the direction of those lights. You drive as fast as you can, checking your mirror constantly to see if anything is behind you. Nothing. Just darkness. Maybe you're finally safe. No, they're right in front of you. The lights somehow appear out of nowhere right in front of your car. You turn the wheel hard to avoid a head-on collision and you go flying off the road, smashing your head against the window as the car goes flipping and rolling and tumbling. The car comes to a stop 100 feet off the road, upside down, with a lone blinking turn signal dimly lighting up the surrounding field. A single headlight approaches the car, but it's not moving like a vehicle. It's moving like an animal. You're concussed from the accident, and your vision is starting to fade. The last thing you see is a second light approaching. The next morning, the local sheriff is investigating the scene of a single car accident. Curiously, there's no body, just a few scraps of clothing and a pair of tennis shoes sitting neatly in the upside-down roof of the car. Strangest, though, are the childlike handprints all over the dirty car door. The sheriff doesn't know what to think. What the sheriff doesn't know is that he has just come upon the aftermath of an SCP-745 attack, a strange and mysterious creature known as the Headlights. SCP-745 is the classification the SCP Foundation has given to a bipedal, nocturnal predator, whose hunting grounds are an abandoned stretch of highway in northern New Mexico. SCP-745's most distinctive feature, by far, is its head, the top of which is a bloated sack of translucent skin. There are no visible sensory organs present on the head, nor does it appear to have a solid skull, and the creature's brain can be directly seen through the semi-transparent skin, which is covered in a web of bioluminescent organs. These organs are capable of producing a steady output of light that's been measured between 1400 to 3200 lumens, which is the equivalent of bright xenon gas headlights. The entity has been observed to have the ability to change the color of this light, as well as flash it in specific patterns. It is theorized that it engages in this behavior as a way to defend itself, and potentially may also use it as a way to communicate with other members of its species. The rest of SCP-745's body is covered in skin that is a deep, dark, black color that almost seems to absorb light. This quality, when paired with their blindingly bright head protrusion, gives the appearance of a floating point of light in the darkness. Because SCP-745 entities hunt almost exclusively in pairs, with their preferred hunting grounds being remote sections of highway, they are easily mistaken for oncoming or approaching headlights. Two SCP-745 entities are able to move together in perfect synchronicity, running in tandem at speeds up to 180 kilometers per hour. Together, they will target lone vehicles that they spot on the highway and will begin to chase or run straight towards them, giving the unlucky driver the impression that a fast-moving car is rapidly approaching them. After they near the targeted car, they will attempt to stop it by any means necessary, whether by simply forcing the driver to pull over out of fear or by running them off the road completely. Once their prey has stopped, crashed, or become otherwise incapacitated, the pair will stop moving together and approach the car separately to directly assault and then consume the vehicle's occupants. Next to no remains are left following an attack, save for a few scraps of clothing and the victim's shoes. Other than the damage sustained during the accident, there is never any other sign of struggle or forced entry, with the only other evidence left at the scene being the childlike handprints from SCP-745's small front paws. Strangely, analysis of SCP-745's genetic structure has revealed that unlike humans, they are not a carbon-based life form, meaning it is unlikely then that they are able to derive any nutrition from the consuming of human flesh. It is theorized then that they may be hunting solely for sport or some other form of perverse enjoyment. This question remains unanswered, as currently there are no recorded observations of SCP-745 feeding in the wild, as successful attacks have never left any witnesses, and specimens captured by the SCP Foundation refuse to eat it all. No lairs, nests, or other refuge of SCP-745 has ever been found, nor has the Foundation located any breeding grounds or young examples of the entity. It's unknown how or if they reproduce, or when they may have first appeared. What is known is that they had established a wide hunting territory across the American Southwest until Foundation teams began a program to thin their numbers in the 1960s. The effort appears to have been successful so far, and all recent sightings of SCP-745 have been limited to a specific stretch of highway in northern New Mexico. SCP-745 has been classified as Euclid, and in order to limit potential exposure to civilians, the Foundation has purchased the land surrounding the highway, with traffic being redirected to other roads. Foundation security teams disguised as highway patrol officers are to remove any trespassers or lost travelers who accidentally find themselves on the dangerous stretch of highway. The security teams are also tasked with attempting to capture any instances of SCP-745 that they can, and any recovered creatures, live or dead, are to be loaded into Class 3 BCU storage containers and transferred to Site-17 for further study. Containment procedures that are able to preserve living specimens are still being researched, and currently, no examples of SCP-745 have survived for more than a week in captivity. However, seeing as there have been no new sightings of SCP-745 outside of the isolated and monitored stretch of highway, and all reports of phantom lights elsewhere in the country have not pointed to evidence of additional SCP-745 outbreaks, they are considered to be effectively contained. Now go and watch another entry from the files of Dr. Bob, and make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss a single anomaly as we delve further and further into the SCP Foundation's classified archives.
Thank God those guys are contained. Jeez.
If you've read through my second chapter of my short story, they actually make an appearance towards the end, so it's pretty good too.
I'm just a little over halfway, but yeah, I'm almost there. Almost there.
All right. Anybody need to take a bathroom break or anything? I got the next video queued up.
Oh no, I'm ready. I'm ready.
All right, this one is a little bit longer. It is the Plague Doctor. This one's 29 minutes.
Let's do it.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Hang on a second.
1 second.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Alright, I gotta switch to a different input just a sec.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Miller, and the SCP we're going to be studying today is SCP-49. Object Class, Euclid. Special Containment Procedures.
Screen share.
Yeah,
SCP-49 is contained within a standard secure humanoid containment cell in Research Sector 2 at Site-19. SCP-49 must be sedated before any attempts to transport it. During transport, SCP-49 must be secured within a Class 3 humanoid restriction harness, including a locking collar and extension restraints, and monitored by no fewer than 2 armed guards. While SCP-49 is generally cooperative with most Foundation personnel, outbursts or sudden changes in behavior are to be met with elevated force. Under no circumstances should any personnel come into direct contact with SCP-49 during these outbursts. In the event SCP-49 becomes aggressive, the application of lavender, L. multifida, has been shown to produce a calming effect on the entity. Once calmed, SCP-49 generally becomes compliant and will return to containment with little resistance. In order to facilitate the ongoing containment of SCP-49, the entity is to be provided with a corpse of a recently deceased animal, typically a bovine or other large mammal, once every 2 weeks for study. Corpses that become instances of SCP-49-2 are to be removed from SCP-49's containment cell and incinerated. SCP-49 is no longer permitted to interact with human subjects, and requests for human subjects are to be denied. Temporary Containment Procedure Update. See Addendum 49.3. Per Containment Committee Order 049.S19.17.1, SCP-49 is no longer permitted to interact directly with any members of Foundation staff, nor is it to be provided with any additional corpses to be used in its surgeries. This order shall persist indefinitely, until such time a consensus regarding the ongoing containment of SCP-49 can be reached. Description: SCP-49 is a humanoid entity, roughly 1.9 meters in height, which bears the appearance of a medieval plague doctor. While SCP-49 appears to be wearing thick robes, and the ceramic mask indicative of that profession, the garments instead seem to have grown out of SCP-49's body over time, and are now nearly indistinguishable from whatever form is beneath them. X-rays indicate that despite this, SCP-49 does have a humanoid skeletal structure beneath its outer layer. SCP-49 is capable of speech in a variety of languages, though it tends to prefer English or medieval French. While SCP-49 is generally cordial and cooperative with Foundation staff, it can become easily irritated or at times outright aggressive if it feels that it is in the presence of what it calls the pestilence. Although the exact nature of this pestilence is currently unknown to Foundation researchers, it does seem to be an issue of immense concern to SCP-49. SCP-49 will become hostile with individuals it sees as being affected by the pestilence, often having to be restrained should it encounter such. If left unchecked, SCP-49 will generally attempt to kill any such individual. SCP-49 is capable of causing all biological functions of an organism to cease through direct skin contact. How this occurs is currently unknown, and autopsies of SCP-49's victims have invariably been inconclusive. SCP-49 has expressed frustration or remorse after these killings, indicating that they have done little to kill the pestilence, though will usually seek to perform a crude surgery on the corpse using the implements contained within a black doctor's bag it carries on its person at all times. While these surgeries are not always successful, they often result in the creation of instances of SCP-49-2. SCP-49-2 instances are reanimated corpses that have been operated on by SCP-49. These instances do not seem to retain any of their prior memories or mental functions, having only basic motor skills and response mechanisms. While these instances are generally inactive, moving very little, and in a generally ambulatory fashion, they can become extremely aggressive if provoked, or if directed to by SCP-49. SCP-49-2 instances express active biological functions, though these are vastly different from currently understood human physiology. Despite these alterations, SCP-49 often remarks that the subjects have been cured. Addendum 49.1 Discovery. SCP-49 was discovered during the investigation of a series of unknown disappearances in the town of Montauban in southern France. During a raid on a local home, investigators found several instances of SCP-49-2 as well as SCP-49. While law enforcement personnel engaged the hostile 49-2 instances, SCP-49 was noted as watching the engagement and taking notes in its journal. After all of the 49-2 instances were dispatched, SCP-49 willingly entered Foundation custody. The following interview was conducted by Dr. Raymond Ham during the initial investigation. Interviewer, Dr. Raymond Ham, Site 85. Interviewee, SCP-49. Playing log, now.
Alors, comment devrions-nous commencer une introduction?
Is that French? Can we get a translator?
The King's English. No need for translation, sir. I can speak it well enough.
Good. My name is Dr. Raymond Ham, and
A doctor. A like-minded individual, no doubt. Wherein is your speciality, sir?
Cryptobiology. Why?
A medical man, such as myself. Wonders abound. And here, I worried I had been abducted by common street thugs. This place, then, this is your laboratory. I had wondered, as clean as it is, and with such little trace of the pestilence here.
The pestilence? What do you mean?
The scourge. The great dying. Come now. You know what is it they call it? No matter. The pestilence, yes. It abounds outside these walls, you know. So many have succumbed, and many more will continue to, until such time as a perfect cure can be developed. Fortunately, I am very close. It is my duty in life to rid the world of it, you see. The cure, to end all cures.
When you say the great dying, are you talking about the bubonic plague?
I don't know what that is.
I see. Right, well, the entities our agents encountered at the house, they were dead when you encountered them, yes? You reanimated them.
In a manner of speaking, you see things too simply, Doctor. Expand your horizons. Life and death, sickness and health. These are amateur terms for amateur physicians. There is only one ailment that exists in the world of men, and that is the pestilence, and nothing else. Make no mistake, they were very ill. All of them.
You think you cured those people?
Indeed. My cure is most effective.
But the things we recovered were not human.
Yes, well, it is not a perfect cure, but that will come with time and further experimentation. I have spent a lifetime developing my methods, Dr. Ham, and will spend a lifetime more if necessary. Now, we have wasted too much time. There is work to do. I will require a laboratory of my own, one where I can continue my research unimpeded. And assistance, of course, though I can provide those on my own. In time.
I don't think our organization would be willing to...
Nonsense. We are all men of science. Fetch your coat and show me to my quarters, Doctor. Our work begins now.
Interviewer's note. While SCP-49 is capable of communicating in a very human way, there is a strange sense of unease that one experiences when in its presence. Make no mistake, There is something very uncanny about this entity, indeed. Additionally, we've confiscated that pointed stick that SCP-49 keeps waving around. Part of this was due to standard confiscation protocols for the possession of anomalies, and part because 49 really is a menace, swinging it around like he does. The entity was displeased at first, but after we made some concessions in providing it with test subjects, which are admittedly more for the benefit of our own research, it warmed up to the idea. Addendum 49.2 Observation Log. While in containment at Site-19, SCP-49 has spent a considerable amount of time studying and performing surgery on the various mammalian corpses it had been provided. SCP-49 will routinely spend several days performing surgery, and then, regardless of whether or not the corpse becomes an instance of SCP-49-2, spending several more days documenting its findings in a thick leather journal stored within its doctor's bag. SCP-49 will often seek to share its findings with members of Foundation staff. The following is a log of several occasions during which SCP-49 was observed operating on a mammalian corpse. Observational Log 49.OL.1 Summary. Subject: SCP-49. Preface: a test subject, D-85-123, was introduced into SCP-49's containment cell. The entity expressed sincere gratitude towards all members of the containment and research staff. Observation notes: SCP-49 began by asking D-85-123 several standard medical questions as it began removing tools from its bag. Shortly after finishing its preparations, SCP-49 quickly closed the distance between the two, killing the subject with a touch to its throat. Afterwards, SCP-49 made a number of considerable alterations to the basic structure of the subject's corpse, often introducing fluids from within its bag into the subject by way of a hand-powered pump and copper tubing. The resulting 49-2 instance became animated, flailing and grasping at the walls of the chamber with a number of manufactured limbs while moaning out of an oblong orifice now present in its sternum. During this time, SCP-49 was observed taking notes of the instance in its journal and remarking to the watching research staff about the efficacy of its cure. Security personnel entered the chamber to move SCP-49 back to containment and were attacked by the instance. The security team dispatched the 49-2 instance, and SCP-49 returned to containment with no resistance, stating that it was pleased with the results. Observational Log 49.OL.2 Summary. Subject: SCP-49. Preface: SCP-49 was provided the corpse of a recently deceased goat. SCP-49 expressed gratitude at the provision. Observation notes: SCP-49 operated on the goat corpse for several days, eventually resulting in an instance of SCP-49-2. SCP-49 expressed pleasure in this outcome, though admitted the disease was still in its nascent stage. My veterinarian practice is rudimentary, but the patient responded well to the procedure. Observational Log 49.OL.3 Summary. Subject: SCP-49. Preface: SCP-49 was provided the corpse of a recently deceased orangutan. SCP-49 expressed noted gratitude at the provision due to the similarities between the orangutan and common human physiology. Observation notes: SCP-49 spent several days operating on the orangutan, reanimating it several times. However, SCP-49 appeared to be discontent with the results it experienced, returning to the creature 3 times after its initial reanimation for additional work. After it was unable to reanimate the corpse a 5th time, SCP-49 turned the corpse over to Foundation staff for incineration, stating, "I have learned so much from this, though I fear my early optimism was misplaced. I hadn't yet come across such a stumbling block on my road to the cure. More subjects like this would do a great deal in advancing my research." Observational Log 49.OL.7 Full. Subject: SCP-49. Preface: SCP-49 was provided the corpse of a recently deceased bovine. SCP-49 expressed mild annoyance at the provision. though it accepted it nonetheless. Observation notes. SCP-49 spent several days operating on the bovine corpse, breaking only to dine on a requested dinner of thin crackers, salted pork, and hard cheese. Beginning first by embalming the corpse, SCP-49 was observed producing a number of long syringes from its bag, each containing a different dark viscous fluid. SCP-49 described these fluids as essences of the humors, and elaborated by saying the pestilence may bring about a systemic imbalance. In such case, before true healing can begin, one must find the humors in balance, or the body will reject the cure. Over the next few days, SCP-49 spent a considerable amount of time adjusting the organs of the bovine corpse with a number of large metal instruments. After 8 days, SCP-49 produced a lightning rod, which Dr. Ham exchanged for an electric cattle prod attached to an extension cord, and struck the corpse in several locations. This action seemingly had the effect of reanimating the bovine, which once again became ambulatory, despite the inversion of the head and reorientation of its limbs. And this is a follow-up interview to the previous observation logs. Playing log now.
We've watched you work for several weeks now, and honestly, I'm not sure I understand what you're doing. Could you describe your process in detail?
Oh, goodness no. The process is most intensive. As I said to your assistant, the best instruction you will find about my methods are here, in my journals, as I have kept exhaustive records of my work there.
Oh, I see. Well, my concern, Doctor, is that we still don't understand what you're seeking to cure, or how it manifests, or how turning these creatures into quasi-living, mindless drones helps in that effort.
You do not understand the pestilence, even after all this time. Doctor, it is an unspeakable horror, one that has shown its true face many times before, and will again. I find myself blessed with the wisdom and good senses needed to root it out and destroy it. But many, like yourself, cannot. It is a cruel judgment, I fear, to be at the mercy of a disease you cannot fully comprehend.
That still doesn't answer my question. How's your cure any kind of cure at all?
It is a cure. You may laugh at my efforts if you please, but do not besmirch the good name of scientific progress that has developed this great mercy. What you short-sightedly see here is a life better than any this creature could have hoped for. Stricken as it was with the pestilence, this creature is now clean, unable to spread the pestilence, and free from the terror it would have experienced otherwise.
This is hardly a creature at all, Doctor. It's not even...
Do not jape with me, sir. You and your colleagues are like so many others, unable to look past minor setbacks to see the salvation taking place before your very eyes. Do you wait to remove rotten timbers until the whole collapses on top of you? No. You find them and you pull them out and replace them with those untouched by rot. And most of all, you do not simply mock the structure because it now looks different to you. It is strong. It is free of disease.
I'm sorry. Didn't mean to agitate you. I'm just trying to understand.
Yes. Well, do mind your words in the future, Doctor. I am a professional, but even professionals may feel the bite of pride in dealing with criticism of their masterpiece. I will forgive this as an act of good faith between colleagues.
Is there anything else I can help you with?
No, that will be all. Another test subject on the usual schedule. You know my preference of subjects with more human anatomies.
Attending researchers note, SCP-49 does seem to genuinely want to help other humans, though it has not yet been able to provide a concrete example of what exactly it is trying to save us all from. I have watched it now for several weeks, and while the outcomes do not seem to ever change, SCP-49 continues to claim that it is growing closer to its perfect cure. I think the entity may be more aware of the reality of these outcomes than it would like us to think. Addendum 49.3. April 16, 2017 incident. Starting shortly after SCP-49's initial containment, Dr. Ham conducted a number of interviews with the subject regarding its anomalous properties, and over time began to note its displeasure with its subjects and SCP-49-2 instances. This continued for a period of several months, during which SCP-49 never exhibited any aggressive behaviors. On April 16, 2017, as Dr. Ham was entering SCP-49's test chamber to conduct another routine interview, the entity began to grow anxious and asked Dr. Ham if he was feeling well. Following protocol, Dr. Ham reminded SCP-49 that the interview was required, after which the entity became hostile and attacked Dr. Ham, killing him. Due to a lapse in security protocol and because Dr. Ham did not activate the in-chamber emergency system, Dr. Ham's corpse was not discovered until 3 hours later, by which point SCP-49 had converted it into an instance of SCP-49-2. In the aftermath of this incident, SCP-49 was interviewed by Dr. Theron Sherman. Playing log, now.
I need you to explain yourself. SCP-049, you are being directed to explain your actions, and I will remind you that failure to cooperate will result in further restrictions during your containment.
My actions do not need to be explained.
You killed Raymond Ham, and then butchered him until he...
Not dead. No, not dead. He is cured.
Cured? Cured of what?
Pestilence, sir. I had thought you, at least, would realize what luck it is. I detected it before.
What pestilence? You keep going on and on about this pestilence, but you have not once been able to properly identify this disease. What could you have possibly seen in him today that you had not seen so many times before, that it would be worth his life?
The pestilence presents and progresses in unforeseeable fashions, and has a queer way of creeping into the unprepared. And call it what you want, Doctor. It was a mercy I did to him. He is cured.
He is a vegetable.
I would not expect you to understand. You and your ilk have proven time and time again not to be men of science, but men of emotion. You cannot appreciate the horrors I've seen. Those many millions who have succumbed to the pestilence and been changed.
Your cure cost Ray his life.
No, good sir. I have saved it. You would allow this world to slip back into the despair of disease and death, ignoring that I have created a miracle. And
what disease? What pestilence? He was a healthy man. He was a good doctor.
I'm offering it freely to the afflicted. You are not worth this argument, sir. You are short-sighted and foolish. Dr. Ham was sick, and I cured him. I am the only one who can do this. My work must continue. There is still so much to learn, so much.
I've had enough of this. Consider your allowances revoked.
Even you.
Welcome to containment, 049.
Might be saved.
We're done here.
I can save them all. I can cast down this plague once and for all. I can do this. Only me. I saved him. Dr. Ham. I cured him. He was sick. I know he was sick. I know he was. And you are all sick, but I can save you. I can save all of you because I am the cure.
Addendum 49.4. Post-incident report interview. The following interview is an excerpt from the April 16, 2017 49 incident report. The interview was conducted by Dr. Elijah Itkin and took place 3 weeks after the start of the initial investigation. Playing now.
SCP-049, we are conducting this interview to close out our investigation of your actions taken on April 16th that resulted in the death of a staff member. Do you have any comments to make? Only that I look forward to the day when you will allow me to resume my work. I have spent the last few weeks compiling my notes and constructing a new theory for how the pestilence was able to infect someone in such an insidious manner that I nearly couldn't detect it. Have you experienced any remorse for your actions? For the death of Dr. Ham? Ah, yes. Well, the death of a colleague is always regrettable. But in the face of the pestilence, we must be swift, Doctor, and act without hesitation. Dr. Sherman noted in his report that you seemed to be mournful during your initial interview. Mourn? Perhaps. I had not thought that. It is lamentable that a fellow doctor became infected, but the work continues. Regrettable as it was, Dr. Ham's death provided important insight. Living human subjects are the only way to proceed forward, I am decided. My cure is of little use on dead flesh, and I have gleaned all I can from your generous supply of corpses. My desires turn towards tending to those still living who suffer from the disease. I'm afraid you're going to be disappointed. Oh, Doctor. I wouldn't be so sure.
Okay, I think that about does it for today. Thank you all for listening, if indeed you still are, and you're all dismissed. Goodbye. Hi.
Oh, we're listening. We are listening. That was good. Yeah, I like that interaction, the interviews.
Yeah, a lot of the initial SCPs from 1000 and below are your prototypical monster in a box SCPs. After that, things get a little crazier, but like I said, this is a classic. The next one we got queued up. Give me 1 second. There we go. The next one we got queued up is the Night Hauler.
Dr. J's boss is Sherman. What do you got queued up? Sorry about that.
The next one that we got queued up is SCP-3899, also known as the Night Hauler. And you'll realize pretty quickly why he's one of my favorites. He's also going to be in the climax of my short story as well, but that's a couple of chapters from now.
Nice. Ready.
You're on your way home from work after having just finished working a double shift. It's late, and the interstate is completely abandoned. No cars visible either in front or behind you. It's only about a 20-minute drive, but you know you're going to struggle to stay awake, even in this old beater that shakes and rattles as it travels down the long, straight road. The rattling causes a piece of tape to fall off of the gauge cluster, revealing a lit check engine light beneath. You grab the tape and put it back over the light, covering it once again. There, good as new. You turn on the radio, and it comes to life for just a moment before dying. You slap the radio, and it blinks to life for just a second before dying again. You're about to slap it again when you notice lights in your rearview mirror. And more than just a pair of headlights. It's a whole wall of lights. They're getting closer, and quickly too. Before you know it, they look like they're barreling down on you. But then, they suddenly go black, blinking out of existence. Did that trucker just turn off his lights, you think? You have no time to dwell on the thought, because the sound of an explosion suddenly causes you to scream in fright. It sounds like lightning has struck just inches from your car. The inside of your car suddenly lights up with fire and smoke. Has your engine exploded? What's going on? No, it's not coming from you, it's coming from next to you. You don't know where it appeared from, but next to your car is now a massive semi. At least, you'd think it was a semi. The smoke is so thick it makes you cough, and you quickly can't see. You lose control of the car and slam on the brakes, but you can feel yourself going off the road. As the smoke finally clears up inside of your car, you can see the moon. It's at this moment that you realize you're no longer right side up as the car flips and tumbles through the air. You open your eyes to find that you're still buckled into your seat. You release the seatbelt and drop to the roof of the car. You crawl out to find that your car slid to a stop upside down, several meters from the road. You look around, and far off in the distance, you can see it. The semi that ran you off the road, driving at an almost impossible rate of speed off into the night. You look back at your car, which is completely totaled, and wonder what you're going to do now. It's late the next morning when you finally get back home. The police did not seem to believe your story about the magically appearing semi-truck causing your single-car accident, but they did at least give you a ride back home after administering a sobriety test. You enter your small studio apartment and look around at the sparsely decorated room, wondering how you're going to pay rent next month if you can't get to your job. You go to the fridge and open the door, but there's nothing inside except for a carton of milk that's well past its expiration date. You open it and take a whiff, but this is too far gone even for your state of desperation. You close the fridge and lean on the door, trying to figure out what you're going to do. You're so deep in thought that you barely notice the mail being pushed through the slot in your door. You decide to go pick it up, even though you know it will only be bad news. And you were right. Bills, bills, and more bills. First, second, and final notices. You wonder if you've ever had a piece of good news show up through that slot in your door. What's this, though? The last piece of mail is a battered and folded envelope that looks like it's been used and repurposed many times. It feels thick and heavy, but there's no information on it at all. It's completely blank. You open the envelope, and your eyes light up. Inside is money. It's a stack of crinkled old bills, different denominations, all in a random order, but there's a lot of them. There must be over $1,000 here. And there's something else, too. A note. You unfold the creased and dirty piece of paper to see a simple message that looks like it was hastily written in black crayon. All the note says is, "Sorry about last night. Hope this helps, compadre." You flip the note over and look in the envelope again, but there's nothing else other than the wad of cash. The apology note may have been unsigned, but you weren't the first to receive something like it, and you would be far from the last. The SCP Foundation, though, knows exactly who sent it. This was a message from SCP-3899, also known as the Night Hauler. SCP-3899 is a black Peterbilt 379 semi-trailer truck with an attached trailer, but as you no doubt have determined, this is no ordinary truck. SCP-3899 has the anomalous effect of appearing seemingly at random upon stretches of highway within the continental United States, and usually at a considerable distance away from any other motorists. The truck will manifest already in motion, traveling within roughly 3 kilometers per hour of the posted speed limit, but it will not stay at this speed. Once SCP-3899 has appeared, it will almost immediately begin accelerating, and the speeds it can reach are truly staggering. Despite appearing to be a normal truck, SCP-3899 is able to reach impossibly fast speeds, and it's been observed traveling at over 420 kilometers per hour, or 267 miles per hour. As SCP-3899 flies down the road, it will attempt to avoid other vehicles and roadside objects, and has even been shown the ability to displace itself across short distances, which it seems to mostly do in order to avoid collisions with vehicles. SCP-3899 will disappear and then immediately appear somewhere else, though always within 300 meters of its last location. This reappearance will be accompanied by a thick cloud of dense, black smoke that lab tests have revealed to consist of a mixture of diesel fuel combustion byproducts, volcanic ash, and trace amounts of unidentified human blood. The anomalous truck will only appear at night and will demanifest completely once it encounters direct sunlight, or if it causes an automotive accident, which it has done plenty of times. In one particular incident, undercover SCP Foundation agents working within the Virginia State Department of Transportation became aware of reports of a large black truck appearing on a particular stretch of interstate that had caused multiple accidents. They were able to track down and locate one of the victims of these incidents, a woman named Martha Lewis, who they soon brought in for questioning under the guise of it being a police investigation. The agents questioned Martha on her experience, and she explained her own interaction with the black semi. She said, "It's all still clear in my head. I'm driving down I-64 on my way home and the sun had just gone down. There's no other cars and I'm about to take my exit when out of nowhere this huge truck just appears right next to me. There's a bunch of smoke, like it was on fire or something, and the sound was like a bolt of lightning had just struck right next to me. It all happened so fast. All the smoke clouded my windshield, and before I could really process what was happening, I was plowing right through a concrete divider and into some trees. I think I passed out. When I came to, there were paramedics and cops. They took me to the hospital. The agents asked if anything happened after that, and she said there was one other odd thing. When she left the hospital and went home, there was a letter waiting for her, but it didn't have a return address. Inside was a large amount of U.S. currency in a random assortment of denominations, with many of the bills appearing wrinkled and worn. There was a note in the envelope too, which read, "I'm sorry, didn't mean no harm. For the damages, get y'all a new rig and drive on." Later Foundation analysis of the document revealed that the note was written with a piece of charcoal on non-anomalous notebook paper. Now you're probably asking yourself the same question that the SCP researchers had. Just who is the driver of SCP-3899 that apparently wrote this odd note and also paid for the damages they caused? The operator of the truck, which has been designated as SCP-3899-1, is a very mysterious figure. Observers who have been able to get a brief glimpse inside of the truck as it moves past them at a rapid speed have described the driver as looking only like a silhouette of a slightly overweight male wearing the type of headwear that is typically referred to as a trucker hat. Some reports have also alluded to the presence of what appears to be smoky, tentacle-like appendages within the cab, though all further efforts to determine the exact physical characteristics of 3899-1 have failed, as the truck has proved resistant to any kind of outside scanning equipment. Most of what is known about the driver has come in the form of direct communication, though not in the form of interviews or any other sort of face-to-face interaction. No, while SCP-3899-1 has never been willing to stop and have a discussion with Foundation agents, it does seem more than willing to speak with anyone and everyone in its immediate vicinity over Citizens Band, or CB radio, which is a type of shortwave person-to-person communication system that is popular with many long-haul truckers. In one particular instance, an SCP Foundation helicopter happened to be traveling above a stretch of road where SCP-3899 appeared. An agent within the helicopter began communicating with the anomalous trucker, first asking for their call sign, to which SCP-3899-1 replied,
"I'm a night owl and I'm coming in hot. I know y'all can feel this speed."
After adjusting their volume to compensate for 3899-1's loud response, the agent asked if the entity could explain where they came from. 3899-1 answered with,
"I roll with the wind. My wheels sing sweet love to the blacktop. I'm filling y'all's veins with road salt and exhaust and the smell of burning rubber. Ain't no bother where I'm from. We all gotta live for the ride and die for nothing."
"I see," the agent responded, before asking, "Are you hauling anything in particular?" SCP-3899-1 came back with,
"Ain't you listening, girl? You seeing this? What I got is pure rattling salvation. 18 wheels at a time. When y'all's roads is choked, when the ways is blocked and y'all's speed is all dead and gone, I'm dropping this load and we'll all be drinking gas and breathing smoke."
The agent didn't understand, though, and asked again who they were and what they wanted. 3899-1 replied,
"This is for the souls of the road, for the long nights and dead engines, and everyone trying to put that horizon under their wheels. I am the roar of hot iron. I am screaming freedom. I am the death of all barriers. This rig ain't got no quit, honey. I do not stop. Can you feel the rumble? Can you see the fire and smell the burn? I know you can. I can taste your heart, and I know you want to fly apart with me."
When the agent began to answer in the affirmative that they could indeed, quote, feel the rumble, seemingly caught up in the excitement of SCP-3899-1's proclamation, the investigation was quickly halted and the helicopter broke off from its pursuit. Following this incident, the potential mimetic influence of communicating with 3899-1 is under investigation. SCP-3899, being currently uncontainable by any conventional means, has been classified as Keter. Upon reports of it manifesting, all CB radio transmissions emanating from the truck are monitored by nearby Foundation listening posts for attempted contact by SCP-3899 to civilian recipients. Any individuals who are contacted are to be administered Class B amnestics, as are any eyewitnesses of the truck itself. All information about SCP-3899 is to be suppressed, and a disinformation campaign is active to make all reports of a mysterious truck that can appear out of nowhere and move at impossible speeds seem like nothing more than an urban legend. Just what is SCP-3899? Is the driver some sort of anomalous ghost, or perhaps an old, eldritch god, a manifestation of freedom and perpetual motion given physical form as a diesel-powered behemoth on the highway? Perhaps the answer to that question is up to you. Now go and watch another entry from the files of Dr. Bob, like SCP-973, Smokey, for another tale of an automotive anomaly with its own very distinct set of goals. And make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss a single anomaly as we delve further and further into the SCP Foundation's classified archives.
Dr. Bob. That was good. That was
Easily
good.
one of my most favorite vids, man. I love that one.
That's so funny, man. I like it. I can't believe there's just so many SCPs. What about a truck? It's great.
I think at last count, we're pushing 9,000 or more. I don't think we've hit 10,000 yet, but it's up there.
Yeah, they're good.
Anyways, you good for another video or bathroom break?
Nope. Let me do a bathroom break. One sec.
All right.
No worries, Dr. J. Get some rest. Thanks for tuning in. Sorry we started a little late. definitely grab the whole bag of popcorn. I'm ready.
Perfect for movies, man.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, let me get this video going. This is a perfectly normal, regular old IKEA.
Just a normal IKEA.
SCP 3008. A perfectly normal, regular old IKEA. There are things that are horrific because they are inexplicably alien to us, such as eldritch creatures from other planets or dimensions. And then there are things that are horrific because they take something familiar or ordinary and distort it into something nightmarish, such as being murdered in a park. The SCP universe, of course, contains both of these concepts, both the alien and the familiar, but there are also plenty of things that blur that line, such as SCP 3008, an infinite IKEA store. For those that have been inside one of these large, twisting buildings, the idea of being lost in one is something that isn't that far-fetched, but making the space infinitely large puts this concept on another level. There are, of course, other anomalous things at work in SCP 3008, but let's go through this report one step at a time. SCP 3008 is an IKEA-branded building, currently owned by the Foundation, and all roads leading to or passing by the location have been redirected. No one is allowed to enter the building without permission by the senior researcher. Any humans seen leaving the building are to be detained and debriefed, and any other entities leaving the building are to be immediately terminated. The first anomalous effect occurs when someone enters SCP 3008 and moves out of sight of the entrance doors. The subject will find themselves seamlessly moved to an alternate dimension, often without them realizing. This dimension contains the infinite IKEA space, so far calculated to be at least 10 square kilometers, but at the least far greater than could be contained in the 3008 building. Entering the 3008 building through any entrance other than the front, or breaking through the exterior walls, will enter into the normal IKEA interior. At times consistent with the normal opening and closing times of an IKEA store, the overhead lighting will turn on and off, creating a sort of day-night cycle. While there are a number of exits located in the dimension, they move around seemingly randomly, and it's believed that these exits can move even while being watched by an individual. SCP-3008 contains an unknown number of humans that entered the alternate dimension before the Foundation managed to contain the building, and have so far been unable to escape or be rescued. Additionally, SCP-3008 contains a large number of anomalous humanoids, dressed as IKEA employees and possessing no facial features. These entities have exaggerated and inconsistent bodily proportions, being too short or too tall, and during the day cycles of SCP-3008, they wander through the environment, unresponsive to questions. At night, however, they will act extremely hostile to any humans in SCP-3008, attacking them while saying variations of, "The store is now closed, please exit the building." So far, 14 individuals have escaped SCP-3008, and one instance of these humanoids has come out, chasing a human. The individual was killed by the entity before security managed to terminate it, and the man was carrying an IKEA-branded journal, the contents of which I will summarize. This individual, whom I'll refer to as Subject, spent over 6 months inside of SCP-3008 before finally dying outside of the structure. Subject began writing in the journal 2 days after entering the alternate dimension alone, and spent the first couple days searching the area around where he entered in hopes of finding the exit. Although he did not succeed in finding an exit, he did find a cafeteria where he ate some fresh and warm meatballs, despite there being no one in sight who could have cooked them. Subject slept on a bed both nights, and managed to not encounter any of the humanoid entities during his first 2 days. After waking up on his 3rd day, he began walking in as straight a direction as possible for 3 hours, before climbing a ladder and discovering the space is seemingly infinite. Additionally, Subject noticed a person in the distance and walked to them, only to discover that it was one of the humanoid entities, standing 7 feet tall, with long arms, short legs, and no facial features. The entity ignored the subject, and so he moved on, spending the night on a pile of bunched-up tablecloths. Subject continued walking through the store for another few days, passing by countless copies of identical bookshelves, but on his 6th night, he was attacked by 2 of the humanoids. He fled in a sprint away from them, and found a makeshift city, lit up with floodlights, and surrounded by walls made from shelving and beds. The human occupants of the city opened the walls to let the subject in, and the humanoids eventually lost interest and wandered off. This town contained over 50 people, and was called Exchange, due to the exchange and return sign hanging above it. During the day cycle, people go out to search the store for food, water, and other necessities, and at night everyone stays in the city to avoid the humanoids. Apparently, at certain times, the shelves and cafeterias restock in some way, but food and water still have to be rationed. The subject learns that there are an unknown number of other cities in the store, some with more people, and some with less, and some people have been stuck in the store for years. The concept of finding an exit and leaving is merely a rumor to most trapped inside, and plenty of them have given up trying entirely. Subject spends a large remainder of his time in SCP-3008 at Exchange, building a rapport with the other inhabitants, and going on daily foraging trips with them. He finds a wooden tower miles away that reaches the ceiling, and also finds a telephone, but a voice on the other end merely spoke random words continually. At some point, Exchange was attacked by a group of 20 or 30 humanoids, who attempted to tear down the makeshift walls with their hands. Subject learns that this happens regularly, and they have crafted what weapons they can to fend off the humanoids. The humanoids don't seem to bleed, but go down easily enough, although the townspeople have to move the bodies away from the city, as the dead seem to attract more entities. The humanoids seem to be entirely composed of skin, or a skin-like substance, with no muscles, bones, or organs, at least when they are dead. Eventually, a dozen people arrive at Exchange, who reveal that they are survivors from another town named Trolleys. The town was ripped apart by the humanoids, which left roughly 100 dead. People continued to trickle into Exchange, newcomers to SCP-3008, and the humanoids continued to attack the town once or twice a week. Subject reports seeing a quadcopter fly past, which lines up with the Foundation's first drone test into SCP-3008, but other people in Exchange recall seeing a quadcopter fly past months prior. After having a discussion with other people in Exchange, Subject learns that some of the other people possess severely different knowledge of the outside world, including no knowledge of the International Space Station or the Statue of Liberty, and believing a different person to be the Prime Minister. This strongly suggests SCP-3008 pulls people from multiple parallel dimensions, which would explain why so many people could go missing in an IKEA. 6 months after arriving in SCP-3008, Subject is keeping up the same routine in Exchange, with occasional visits from other towns, but the attacks from the humanoids have grown worse. At a certain point, the attacks occur nearly every night, before finally Exchange's wall is destroyed in an attack, and the townspeople move on in hopes of reaching another city called Checkouts. It's believed that during this exodus, Subject got separated from the group while they were being chased by a humanoid, and found an exit. As mentioned before, the humanoid managed to chase the subject through the exit and kill him. SCP-3008 is not a tale of horrific monsters or mind-warping terrors, but it is an entertaining example of the sheer strangeness of the SCP universe. SCP-3008 likely won't keep you up at night with feverish nightmares, but the combination of familiar reality and inexplicable mystery makes this one among the most interesting of SCPs.
Yeah, I like that. Fucking IKEA.
You'll never be the same walking in another one ever again. definitely a classic. And I would actually like to take this time to say it is actually, watching this video, it's decent, but reading the actual article and the journal excerpts from the guy who was in there for 6 months, it's a really good read. So I would highly recommend that, you guys read it if you have the time.
I bet.
Alright, the last one that we have for tonight is SCP-2935, O Death, and this is a very interesting scenario. Extra-dimensional space, not unlike the IKEA, but it's definitely way more unique.
SCP-2935, O Death. Life in the SCP universe continually hangs by a thread, threatened constantly by the existence of a number of dangerous and apocalyptic anomalies. These threats are countered and contained by the existence of organizations such as the SCP Foundation or the Global Occult Coalition. Depending on your perspective, their efficacy in carrying out these goals varies, but by and large, life continues. There are a number of SCPs and tales that look at potential apocalypses, but rarely with such totality as SCP-2935, a parallel dimension in which death prevailed. On April 28, 2016, an SCP Foundation site near Bloomington, Indiana, picked up a distorted and unintelligible radio signal. Believing it warranting investigation, a team traced the signal to a cave underneath a cemetery in the nearby community of Joppa. Sending a drone into the cave, the team at first didn't realize that anything was amiss, believing that the drone simply exited out of the other end of the cave. After observing the surrounding area and picking up an undistorted version of the radio signal, however, they realized that the drone had passed through some sort of anomaly to end up in a parallel dimension of sorts. The radio signal seemed to originate from the parallel version of the nearby Foundation site, and had been looping for the last 8 days. The transmission read, "This is an automated emergency broadcast from the SCP Foundation and your national government. One or more of our sites is experiencing a communication breakdown, likely due to a containment breach of unknown magnitude. All citizens are ordered to stay in their homes as containment teams work to secure the breach. This message will broadcast from April 20th, 2016 until..." The transmission suddenly cuts out at this point and then repeats again. Mobile Task Force Epsilon 13, Manifest Destiny, were sent in to explore the anomaly, which took place over the course of 3 manned missions and 1 unmanned mission. The first mission, codenamed Gauntlet, commenced to explore the area immediately surrounding 2935's insertion point and collect any samples they could. Upon entering the alternate dimension, they noticed that the temperature is pleasant, the sky is cloudy, and notably, there is no living vegetation in sight, including trees, plants, and grass. The surrounding area seems to be identical to the area outside of the cave in our dimension, and the team begins to travel down a road until they locate a farmhouse. Upon entering the house, they find the corpses of 3 adults and 1 child around a table, each appearing to be somewhat recently deceased. A newspaper on the table, dated April 19th, 2016, seems to be identical with a newspaper from that date from our dimension. A clock on the wall shows it to be the correct time in our dimension, proving that this dimension is fully connected to ours. The team notices that none of the food is covered in mold, despite being left out for seemingly over a week. They collect some samples, including taking a laptop and a smartphone, but they finally turn on the television nearby. Most of the channels contain nothing but test signals, but the home shopping network has a live feed, showing 2 corpses and a burnt backdrop. On their way back to the cave, they note that they haven't heard any birds, insects, or car noises, just the wind. The samples brought back by the team showed no living cells or microbial life whatsoever, and the smartphone's last message sent talked about a card game, suggesting that whatever caused the owner to die was completely unexpected. The next mission, codenamed Overland, involved the team making their way to the alternate Foundation site that was broadcasting the transmission, and establish a forward camp there. 16 agents from MTF Epsilon 13 were sent through the cave for this mission, and they begin by commandeering several vehicles to aid their traversal. On the way to the site, they note that the roads are fairly clear, as not many vehicles were present at the time of the incident. They see several fires along the way, a few of which are from downed jetliners. They decide to split into two separate teams, one heading into the site itself, and the other going to the off-site server bank. The logs follow the team that goes into the site, and a couple members of the team note that they were at this site during the time when this event occurred. The site is in lockdown status, but they soon turn it off and make their way towards the front offices. They find corpses of individuals they recognize who work at the site in our dimension, although they note that there's no blood, suggesting that it was possibly a disease of some sort. They learn that at 4 a.m. on the 20th, a routine vitals check on the site reported no response from any of the vital transmitters. The system then pinged a number of levels of staff, which failed to respond, and then locked down the site and began broadcasting the help message automatically. The team attempts to contact a couple of the artificial intelligences patched into the site, seeing that they are still running, but they receive no response from them either. Exploring the site, the team leader finds his own corpse, along with many other corpses, each of which has suffered complete cellular death. They access a computer terminal, finding an encrypted message left only 3 days ago, after the point in which everything died. They send the message back home and head into the containment wing. They check on a few SCPs, noting that they are all dead, including SCP-2996, which they refer to as the Ghost Girl. They also find one of the team members' corpses, Agent Keller, despite him not being at this site during this time frame. And more notably, the corpse has actually decomposed, unlike all of the other corpses they've found. Finally, they remember that SCP-682, the hard-to-destroy reptile, was being transferred recently, and spent a few days at this site. They head downstairs to where its containment cell would be, and open it. They find the corpse of 682, displaying no signs of life, which weirds out the team enough for them to head back topside. The next mission, codenamed 19, has the team head to another Foundation site, Site 19. During this expedition, only one of the 16 members' recorders managed to broadcast their feed back to base, Agent Keller, incidentally the same individual whose decomposing corpse the team found last time. Because of this, we're given much less information about this mission. They make it to Site 19 and find another emergency transmitter, although this one pings every few seconds, allowing them to confirm that the incident apparently occurred at 3:13 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. They find SCP-963, the amulet that allows for Dr. Bright's immortality, but it appears to be completely inert. They also find the broken remains of the possessive mask, 035, as well as a deceased 173, the sculpture. They also find SCP-079, which is an old artificial intelligence, which is also dead, confirming that anything resembling life died as well. It seems that the effect was completely global, affecting anything and everything that either lived or resembled life. The log ends with Keller saying that the on-site nuke at Site 19 was tripped, and they're locked in down there. He gives the team's final goodbyes, and the transmission suddenly cuts out. While MTF E-13 was exploring Site 19, an automated drone was sent into the alternate dimension in order to carry out aerial surveillance, as well as make contact with the team, and collect the evidence and samples they've found. After flying a few kilometers into the air, the drone sees the surrounding area entirely devoid of life, with drifts of sand and dirt beginning to form alongside roadways and houses. The drone flies towards Indianapolis, citing a number of large fires, especially at the Indianapolis International Airport in the distance. Indianapolis itself is largely unscathed, and so the drone flies towards Foundation Site 19. After flying through a storm, the drone lands at the site, transmits its coordinates to the team, and powers down. 5 hours later, the drone is reactivated by Agent Keller, who loads a package onto the drone and then looks into the camera, saying, "I don't have any answers. I don't think there are any. I'll do this one thing and hope that fixes it. Seal it shut. You've got to lock it in here with us. I'm sorry." The drone then flies back towards the cave, and along the way, a nuclear explosion is seen at Site 19. So, what caused Agent Keller to detonate a nuke and kill off his entire team, telling the Foundation to seal up the cave? Why was the alternate corpse of Keller the only one that was decomposing? And what was on that encrypted audio message they found? All of our answers can be found in the final log in the report, where we get to read the encrypted message for ourselves. The person doesn't provide their name, but mentions that it's currently April 26th, and they've managed to get back into Site 81 despite the lockdown. The rest of the message reads, "I wish I had an explanation. If I didn't still bleed, I would think I was dreaming. I've had dreams that I was dreaming, but I wake up and I'm still here. Still here. Alone. And everyone is gone." They sent me to check this signal they had picked up near Joppa, just off of 70. Quick little exploratory mission. I was the closest. I pop in there and find this cave. And on the other side is the world I just left, but it's this one. This is the world I ended up in. The grass, the birds, things dropping out of the skies, and dark things floating in the water. People everywhere, lying where they stood. And the silence. God, the silence. Not even birds or bugs. Just wind. And nothing else. I came back to report on what I had seen, and I don't have any answers. I don't think there are any. I don't even have the right words to say. This world is different from the one I saw in the cave. People are moved around. The date is different. Things are different. Because it's my world. This is the one I left. This is... My family is here, and my friends. But now... it's all gone. Everything is dead. There's no evil magic. There's no supernatural stars. There's no futuristic ray gun or false vacuum device or... nothing. None of those things mattered. Nothing we did mattered. It's all gone. Something must have been in that cave. Something must have followed me out of there. Needed me to go in there. Needed me to bring it out. Let it loose. Let it do to my world what it did to that. Maybe it's me. Maybe I was the reason. Maybe I am death. If it was in there and I brought it back, then I am death. I've got myself in a containment cell. Jammed the goddamn door shut. I'm gonna put a bullet between my eyes. Everyone else is dead. What's one more? You know, it occurs to me, if you're listening to this, you're death too. What's the sequence of events here then? It seems that the Agent Keller of this alternate universe was sent to investigate a signal near Joppa, Indiana, much like what occurred in our universe, although he was alone. He passed through the cave and entered into a dead universe, Again, similar to what our Foundation did. He went back through the cave, but found his own universe to now be completely dead, just like the one he left. Assuming this happened immediately when he came back, he probably came back through the cave at 3:13 a.m. on the 20th. He makes it back to his own Site-81 and records this message, realizing that something within the cave, or within that other universe, needed him in order to travel to a fresh universe. Since he's completely alone in a dead world, he kills himself, and his body decomposes since he still carried living bacteria. The Keller from our universe finds this message and realizes that if they pass back through the cave to their own universe, they'll kill it. To prevent this, he tells the Foundation to seal the cave, and then locks his team in and detonates the nuke. The Foundation seals the cave with concrete and leaves it alone. We're left with two primary questions then. What exactly is the cause of this universal death? And is it specifically tied to Agent Keller? We can likely rule out some sort of disease or weapon, so it's probably some form of entity. Clearly, this entity has killed more than a couple universes, since the distress signal sent by the alternate Foundation continues to lure new Foundation teams into the cave. If it is an entity, it's certainly among the most powerful in existence, if not the most powerful, since it's capable of killing not only 682, but everything in existence simultaneously. It's hard to say if it's specifically tied to Keller, since we have limited information, but he is a common thread that we know of. Whether or not this entity of death is connected to Keller is left to your own thoughts. SCP-2935 exemplifies some of the best aspects of cosmic horror, presenting a cold, uncaring situation with no regards to humanity's perseverance or will to survive. 2935 is effective because it reminds us that death could come for us at any moment with no warning, and it doesn't really care who we are or what we've done. Maybe it doesn't take the form of a supernatural entity or a universal atrocity, but death is all around us.
Yeah, that was dope. That's pretty interesting, like a universe killer, just luring new people in. It's like, I don't know, it's like a mirror verse, I guess.
Yeah, the SCP Foundation, they take the multiverse as like it's for granted. It's basically, it's normal for them.
Oh yeah. Shit, that was dope. Good vids. Good vids.
Yep, that was the last one. So thank you all for watching.
Yes, sir. I think I'll end this stream and yeah, tune in next week. I'm sure we got some more. I mean, I guess there's over 1,000, so got plenty of source material, I guess, to look at.
Oh yeah.
All right, Kavzar the Blind, my good man, and everybody that came viewing, you are appreciated, and we're out of here.